Hey, this is Elliott, just doing a quick little updated intro here since we recorded this a few months ago. Here are some updated dates if you want to come see us live. Niles, our wonderful guest, you can see in Chicago on St. Patrick's Day, March 17th, LA, April 29th, and Dallas, May 12th and the 13th. Okay, go check him out on all socials. Dates, everything will be up there. Arijana, if you're watching this, stop. No, if you are watching this the day it comes out, you can see Arijana in Seattle headlining at the Hereafter. I will also be there opening that Thursday, March 16th. All right, tickets are still available. Go get those now. All right, hometown show. Check it out. It's going to be a blast. And I will also be in LA at Friendship Buddies April 23rd, the day after my birthday. Okay, so come check it out. Come say hi. Follow us all to the ends of the earth, because we do the same for you, and that's a promise. Follow the podcast, rate, review, subscribe, tell a friend, have a good day. It's daylight savings, so don't forget to set your clocks back ahead. Do whatever you want, man. It's free world. Enjoy the pod. Bye.
Are we ready to rock? Hell yeah, brother. I'm sorry, you said to never say that again.
It makes me think of Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, well, that's what it's from.
I know.
Oh, okay. Well, then why are you acting brand new? Oh, do you want to crack open your Alani?
You like Hulk Hogan?
No, I absolutely hate him.
Let's
But
start the
Brooke,
pod this way.
let's talk about Brooke Hogan.
Hulk Hogan fanboy over here.
No.
Hulk Hogan
no.
apologist.
Apologist. I'm a truther, actually. I'm a Hulk Hogan truther.
You're a Terry head.
Oh my gosh. Let's get this rocking. I'm Arijana.
I'm Elliott.
And this is
Burning the Light.
The show where we talk about the wildest, cringiest, and most salacious stories from people's time in comedy. Is it working?
Yeah.
Amazing. Today we have a very special guest, a comedian and filmmaker. It's Niles Abston.
Hey.
Welcome.
What's up?
Pew, 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 pew. That's our soundboard.
Nice.
It's going off. Welcome. You have Moki in your lap right now. Immediate friends. Amazing. We're at Chateau Moki, the recording studio.
Yeah.
It's
Moki
excellent.
Studios.
Well, welcome. We're really excited to have you.
Thanks for having me.
I know. So you and Elliott just met for the first time, but we met when you did a
If
show.
you were like, what do you think of each other?
Yeah. What if I was just like, so?
What's first impressions? Let's get into it.
Give me 3 things you hate about Elliott, because I could name 5 right now.
Okay, all right. All right, on that note.
Oh, there we
Yeah,
go.
that
The
deserves a pop.
seltzer has been opened.
I'm a little drink girly.
Yeah. You just need your matcha. But we met when you were in Seattle doing a show.
Yeah.
And Yadoya was there and I was hosting and you were featuring. And you did like the coolest shit ever, which is you were like, do you want to be on my show after
I was doing
this?
2 shows down the street.
Yeah. And you were just like, oh, when you're done hosting, like come over. Like you guys just all come over. And you like put me up on your show. And I was just like, that's a comic's comic.
Hell
like
yeah.
I thought that was the coolest shit.
No,
I like how you said you did the coolest thing ever by booking me.
No,
right.
no,
You
I
did
just,
the coolest thing ever.
No,
You let me perform.
I just mean it was like so nice of you
Yeah.
to do that. I really thought that you were just so genuine about it too, which was so nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then Yadoya was obviously funny as shit. Cool to see him work on new stuff. And so then he came over too. And it was a fun show. It was cool. And you just like go and produce shows all over, which is awesome.
That's what I do.
Yeah, nice.
Fun.
But you kind of do everything. So would love to know like how you started comedy, because you do stand up and you write and you make movies, just all of it. So what you started in LA, right?
Yeah, I did. I didn't move here to do stand up. So like,
Oh, okay.
if I had known like I was gonna do stand up, I wouldn't have started here. I hate
Oh,
this place.
wait, what'd you
I'm
what'd
with you.
you move for?
I dropped out of college when I was 20, and I moved here to be a writer.
Nice.
I just wanted to write I wanted to write like everything from movies to comic books to books to TV shows, all that kind of stuff. I just wanted to be a writer. And then that takes a lot of connections and meeting people and all this kind of stuff. And I was interning at this like production office they had produced some pretty big movies, and it was just an awful experience.
Oof.
Like, I remember there was this girl that was the assistant, and I was the intern, and our desks were next to each other. They made her cry pretty much every day I was there. It was so sad.
Wow.
And I just remember being like, this ain't the way. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not being an assistant or an intern in an office for years and years, and then maybe finally getting a shot. This shit looks terrible.
Yeah.
And then a friend of mine that was out here working in film, she had read like this short story I'd read, and she was like, "Yo, this is really funny. Like, you should do stand up."
Oh.
And I didn't know you could just like go do stand up.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was
it's
a
like
thing.
literally anyone can just go to
I didn't
a
know
mic.
that because like, you know, I always loved comedy. Like when I was a
Yeah.
kid, like for me it was like Cat Williams and Chris Rock. They're my
Yes.
two favorites, and Kevin Hart, and so like I would listen to like all the Cat Williams specials. I kind of know like word for word because like every day I would come home after school and just listen to them. And so like I thought these were just funny people up there just saying shit that came to their brain.
Yeah.
I didn't know, like, no, you go and you practice a set and you build it and all
you
this kind of
write.
stuff.
It
Yeah.
truly is
right.
what it
It's
is.
writing.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know that. And so I didn't know I could just go to a coffee shop or a bar and sign up for an open mic and just start building
Yeah.
the shit. So yeah, so like right when I turned 21, I started kind of writing some stuff, and then a couple months later, I started going to open mics and everything, and I was terrible.
Yeah.
I was pretty bad for like the first 2 years, pretty much, and then it kind of clicked, and I've just been doing it since.
Yeah, I think it takes a minute to find your voice.
Yeah.
Too. I think like if
Took a
you
while.
weren't bad, then you weren't doing it
Right.
right. You know,
Right.
Yeah.
like you should watch your old jokes and hate them.
Yeah.
You know, everyone should.
Yeah.
So.
Not even find your voice, just like
Yeah.
learn how to write jokes.
I didn't know how to.
Yeah.
It took me a year and a half to write a good joke.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing too. Is like there is something like innate in people about comedy and writing too. But part of it is just like flexing that muscle and being like, what do I find funny? How am
Right.
I performing what I find funny?
Right.
So it is part of that. And I remember the first even like the first 4 years. It's like you're
Oh.
really
It took me so long to
Yeah.
figure out how to write a joke.
Yeah.
Like I had every once in a while written one that I look back now and I'm like, okay, yeah, that was like an actual joke. But a lot of my early shit I look at now and I'm like, that was a sketch. I was just up there explaining a sketch.
Yeah.
I'm like, this isn't like there's no punchline.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
just like, this is funny,
you
right?
were just retelling Key and Peele. But
yeah, I was like, man, you guys got to see this. And I wasn't even claiming it as my own. I was
No,
saying,
you-
you guys got to see this.
Have you guys heard of Comedy Central?
Oh
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is, yeah, it's rough, but it's good though, because I feel like, I was just talking to someone about this. I was like, I feel like people who take comedy classes,
Yeah.
it's almost like, I mean, people who don't take them have a chip on their shoulder, right? Because they just like figured it out on their own.
Mm-hmm.
But like there is a formula to writing jokes, but you don't actually have to know it. And then some people take the classes, and I think it like inhibits them from actually finding their voice because they're focused.
I advise
on that
against
formula.
I think you just, because I get DMs like all the time, and people are like, "What? Like, how do I get started, or what should I do?" I'm just like, just get up as much as possible.
That's
You
literally
just
what
figure-
it
it's
is.
like working out. Like,
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
you're not gonna be fit the first time you work out. It's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
You'll be out of breath. You might pull a muscle or some
Yep.
shit. You just have to keep going every day,
Yeah.
and that's why people don't do it, because
Yeah.
it sucks.
Yeah.
And that's why people don't look like The Rock.
Right. Well, I always think like if I put in as much time of going to the gym that I have with comedy, I'd be fucking ripped right
Yeah.
now. You know?
That's what I'm saying.
I'd
Yeah.
look really
That's
good.
why The
Yeah.
Rock looks like that.
Yeah.
He gets up at
Yeah.
5 a.m., works
Yeah.
out, goes and eats, then works out again,
Yeah.
then does his day, and then he works out 2 more times before the day's over.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's like us. You hit a couple mics and do a show in a day. That's working out 3-4 times. So
Yeah.
when you get to that point, then you start getting funny.
Right,
You know? And so
right.
like for me, it was just, and I think screenwriting works the same way. You just have to write a bunch. Like
Yeah.
I met this guy. He was an adjunct professor at UCLA, and I met him, and he basically he wrote a bunch of Disney movies before he became a professor. And he was just saying, he's like, you just have to write all the bad shit out. Like that's what it is.
That's so true. Yeah. Oh man. And I think I really love your perspective on it, because I feel like a lot of people think that stand up isn't writing. Like a lot of people who don't do comedy think that people just go and talk, you know, out of their ass.
That's
on
why everybody
stage.
thinks they can do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so do you write a lot before you like even go to a mic? Like, do you know like what you're going to say, or do you write on stage sometimes?
Let's see. Back when I would do mics all the time, I would kind of like, I would always have like things I thought about during the day I thought were funny, and I would just put them down on my phone.
Yeah.
And then I would just bring my phone up there, and because like me, I write screenplays, like I sit down and write them for hours. So like stand up, I can't do that. So like for me, it's like I'll say something in a conversation, or I'll think something when I'm high. I'm like, oh, that's funny, and I'll just like put it in my phone, and then I'll go on stage and then figure out how to make a joke out of it.
Okay.
So like I'm more of like I work it out on stage, but that is writing though.
Yeah.
You're just not physically writing it down, but it is writing.
Yeah, everyone's so different. I know some people who don't have a comedy notebook, and it stresses me out.
Yeah,
I've seen headliners.
You don't have a notebook? You stress me out.
I don't have a notebook until, and this is the notebook. It's I just write one word, and I have like 20, like, so like for my new hour that's about to come out, like I had a notebook on tour, but it was really just like so I know which joke goes before the next
the
one.
order.
So I don't actually write them down.
It's a set list.
Yeah. So I just put a set list in there, and then if something like works better after something, I'll just like put an arrow by it later.
That's so wild to me.
Yeah.
Wow, that's actually shocking to me because you are a writer, and also like I've seen your jokes, and a lot of it is, well, maybe it is because there's like some story, it's kind of based in storytelling, and so maybe it's easier to remember in that way versus like maybe like people who write like one-liners or something.
Yeah, because I don't really do the one-liner thing. I like, because like one thing I also try to do is like never tell a joke all the way the same. I try to like do different things each time, because if you know the punchline is really funny and you know where your points where people are going to laugh, then you've got that. Yeah. So everything else, I might get there a different way, and I might say something even funnier. Yeah. So I like to like kind of leave that up for just like whatever the audience is giving me. So I don't like to like write it completely out. So I'll just have like the Bobby Shmurda joke, for instance, like it'll just say, like in my notebook, it'll just literally just say Bobby. And like I know the points that I'm going to get to.
I do love that bit of yours.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Yeah. I guess it makes you less robotic on stage.
Right. Yeah. That's why I want them to feel like we're just like talking.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of get more laughs out of that because you kind of disarm the crowd.
Yeah.
Because like they don't feel like they're like, what's the deal with airplane food? That kind of shit. It really feels like, oh, this dude's just talking to me, and then every few seconds he just hits me with something that makes me laugh, you know?
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of like, I try to keep it conversational.
Right.
You know, it feels more authentic.
Wait, do you have a notebook? You have a notebook.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, Seinfeld sold a book of just set lists. I saw it in Costco. I got so fucking pissed off. It was like $40, and it was like, this is a book of Jerry Seinfeld's notes from the 70s. And I'm like, oh, okay, because I get interested. I'm like, how does everyone write out their shit? Everyone does it differently. Yeah. And so I'm like, okay, how does he write out the shit? And I'm flipping through it. It's just a set list. And I'm like, this is so fucking stupid.
He gets to do that because he's super successful.
Oh, yeah.
Some unsuccessful nigga, why would you buy a book with his shit?
100%. But I'm also like, who is finding this interesting?
Well, that's the thing. So I remember, my friend, she house sat for this like big time producer, and I came over to drop some of her stuff off, and I look at the wall, and they have this huge like a frame like that big, right? And it's not a painting, it's a page from the script of The Godfather, and it's literally the notes the director made on the script, and it's like blown up on the wall.
Cool.
Yeah.
But some people see comedians as that, so I see where some
that's cool, but I'm literally saying there's no notes in it. It's literally just set list.
It's just a set.
It's like Thursday, November 8th, 1972. Bing, 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 bing. Like you said, like that's because I do my set list the same. It's like, this is like 2 words.
Bing, bing, bing.
I just write bing, 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 bing. And I get it.
Well, but
I just write words, and that's all it was. Well, it was just like word,
because the set list is different than a comedy notebook to me.
Right.
That's what I thought it was going to be, the notebook. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. But I'm like, this is just words.
I've always thought it would be cool to have a compilation of like, like one, like a flat page, like 2 pages then side by side, left and right side of people's comedy notebooks. And are they long form? Are they short form?
Yeah.
Some people do genuinely just write one word down, and then that's how they prepare. But maybe you saw me last night. I write until I go on stage.
Do you?
I rewrite my set order in my until I go on stage. I leave myself open of like, okay, I might try this or I have a new tag for that. But I can't remember shit. Well, I can't remember anything. So it's
I'm
like
the same way.
And
I think I have long COVID.
What?
I mean, I'm being 100%. No, seriously.
Damn.
Seriously, my memory when I'm on stage is shit now.
Well, I'm just in general like that though, so I don't think it's.
You've always had long COVID.
I've always had long. Unless I write it down, I can't remember something. And then on top of that, I'm obsessive about transitions. Like I want the next joke to flow into the
No, I feel that.
Yeah.
That's why I do my like set list thing when I do like an hour or whatever.
Right.
When I'm doing like a short set, I don't really worry about that. I just do whatever I want to do. But I like to, like, whenever I do a long set, I want to make sure, like you say, those transitions make sense and stuff.
Well, you're so relaxed on stage, so you can get away with the pause. I cannot. you saw me last night. I'm like immediately at 100 when I step on stage, you know? So there's no room to be like, so later today, like, you know. Like,
I think it's interesting when people talk about transition and segues because, like, you always hear about it, especially when you start. It's like, oh, the segues, blah, blah, blah. But it's like if you're writing from your voice, I don't think transitions are that big of a
this
deal.
Is all the shit in my head.
Because it's just like, oh, I was doing this. And then I'm like, all right, I'm tired. I say that a lot on stage now. I'm just like, I'm tired. And then I'll go into like whatever. And it's like, it's all kind of about me or around me. So it's like, I don't have to be like, oh, so planes are in the sky. Am I right? I mean, speaking of that.
Sometimes I'll do a complete non sequitur and that will get a laugh because it's just so random, right? Yeah. But even that is planned to me.
Oh, wow. Wow.
That's funny.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I love meeting comics that do that shit because I'm just very much like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Let's whatever happens, happens.
We're going to go where we go and where we don't, we don't.
Yeah. That's cool.
Not me. Anyways.
But writing though, I do write, but I do a little bit of both. So I'll do, if I have an idea, I'll either write it down first, what I have, and then go on stage. But the thing about writing on stage is it's such a different environment. There's a different pressure. Mm-hmm. So even if you write, okay, I got this, bing, ba, boom, when you're writing it down.
Bing, bing, bing.
I'm a lot of onomatopoeias right now. Was that right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I don't sure. Well,
but
there's also
we'll fix it in post.
Sorry.
But so, you know, you write it out and it sounds all good in your head, and then you go on stage and you're like, oh, the rhythm is off. Yeah. There needs to be something else right here. This is too much. So it's like it's just like a different feeling. So I'll do both. But then if I write it, I'm like, okay, this is usually specifically to get like wording right.
Okay.
So you don't step on the punchline or say anything like that before cutting down. But it has to be both. But I mean, I've seen some fucking headliners who are like, oh, I never write. And then watching show to show, I'm like,
and you can tell.
I'm like, that joke was better the first show.
Right.
But you didn't write down how you did it. Mm-hmm. So then you fucked up the setup the next one. And then you fucked it up the next one. So it's like, I get both sides, but I'm still like, for me personally too, I'm like, okay, once I have it dialed in, I'm gonna write it down so that I can go back and be like, okay, this is how it.
And this is something that most comics like starting out don't have the luxury to do this, but like this past like year and a half, like I've had like a camera guy go with me everywhere. So if I do a longer set, I had all those, so I didn't have to write it down. I could just go home the next day and watch it and be like, all right, well, I'm gonna say that just like I said it the next time, and that really helped me put this new hour together like kind of quickly. Was just getting a watch. It was kind of like watching game film. Like, like
even audio recording too.
Right.
That's the thing I tell everyone, because same thing when people are like, oh, how should I start? It's like, go to as many mics as you can. It's just reps. That's all it is. You just got to get your fucking reps in.
Right.
And record yourself. People, oh, I don't want to fucking listen to myself.
Yeah.
It's like no one likes it.
No one likes
it. But you also don't have to listen to it every single time.
Exactly.
You should watch yourself.
My first couple of years, I couldn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
But it's like if you go up, I mean, especially when I started, I was drinking, so I'd fucking, you know, go up drunk, say something, get a huge laugh, and then the next day be like, I don't remember what the fuck I said.
Right.
But it's like I can go back and listen to it and be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you have to. I can't remember what comedian it was, but there's like, you just got to get over that shit. That's your job. Like, you have to.
Yeah.
How are you going to, because like eventually, how are you going to get better? Because your memory is going to get worse eventually.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying? You have to go back and watch yourself and listen to yourself and all these kind of things. Like, I mean, like the older guy, like I've talked to comedians that have been doing this shit since like the 70s and 80s. They used to record themselves on cassette tapes and shit. So imagine how like frustrating that was. You know
and having to rewind.
Exactly.
Now like how embarrassing.
Now you just push a button voice memo and you put it in your pocket. Like, come on now. Like you can listen back to it.
Well, I think too, like, I don't know. I think a lot of my, I think I kind of have the opposite thing of you where like I write a lot to kind of get ideas on the page.
Yeah.
And then when I'm on stage, the way that writing happens for me is like, I don't go up with an idea. I can't do that. I got to at least have like one little joke that I'm like, all right, you know, but God, I sound so neurotic. I am. But some of my best tags have been when I'm under pressure and I'm worried that there's going to be like a lull from the crowd. And then I come up with like a little riff.
Right.
And then I'm like, oh, I didn't even think that was a joke. Like I was just trying to fill the space, you know, and then you get that same audience reaction where I'm like, oh, I'll try that again. You know, I record it, I listen to it, I try it again, or I'll try it a different way in front of a different audience and stuff. But yeah.
And I love like saying something to somebody and it's like really funny, and then having a show that night to like do it. Cause like last night I just like made fun of people that didn't get Taylor Swift tickets and shit.
Oh, I'm sorry, but that hurt a few people in the crowd. they were hurt.
They was upset.
Yeah.
And cause like I had said it to one of my friends and they were just like laughing. And then I did it, and so then I posted the clip of it today, and like it did well and shit. So I was like, that was fun to kind of just like think of that before the show and then go do it.
You also had some funny Yeezy, but I won't ruin that.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. You had some good riffs last night.
Thank you.
So how long has it been now since you've been doing comedy?
I started summer 2016, so a little over 6 years.
Okay, nice. So you're gonna share a story today.
Okay.
I have no idea what it is. You've not given us a little preview, so I'm excited to hear it.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it vague.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say where it was or when it was. So this could have been any year in any city. But yeah, I got this one year. I got booked to do a college show at a college, and this show is being put on by its like Black cultural student group.
Okay.
And the state where this show is notoriously doesn't have Black people.
Okay.
So
Love that.
So I'm just like, whatever. But and so like basically I think it was
you were in Seattle. Yeah.
I wasn't in Seattle actually, but
was it more towards the middle of the country?
I can't tell you that.
That's a
We're
yes.
keeping it
That's
vague.
a yes.
We're keeping it vague.
I'm not gonna put it out
But,
there. I'm just trying to
so
figure it out.
it was a certain amount of money I was coming in for, but I had to buy the flight to get there, and then like basically the money they were paying was like it covered everything at the end. So I had to like get my own flight out there, and then I didn't feel like paying for a hotel, so I booked a flight literally leaving like at 6 a.m. to get the fuck out of there.
Smart. You're not paying for a hotel.
No,
Yeah,
I'm out of there. I'll go to the airport at 2 a.m., 3 a.m.
Just hang out.
Just hang out. Fuck that shit.
Yeah.
So got all that.
So sorry to interrupt, but like, are you going to, like, are they giving you like your headlining, or what's the
So
deal?
This is advice to comics that go to do these college shows and stuff like that. See who's on the lineup before you go. Because that's the part of the story too. But no, so I was gonna be the first comic up. So there's three. It was basically three comedians. And the only reason I did the show is because the headliner of the show, I'm a big fan of that the comedian. So I was like, oh shit, I want to meet them, have a good set in front of them.
Yeah.
And then they had a host. So it was a host and three comics. And so I was supposed to go first. I fly into the town a couple hours for the show. I go to a bar to charge my phone or whatever. And I show up and meet the guy who booked everybody. Okay. Nice older Black gentleman. Super cool.
It's not a student who booked it?
No, so basically he's the program director, and the kids basically tell him kind of who they're into and what they found online, and then he goes and tries to see if he can book those people.
I was like, he's either really with it or someone told him.
Yeah. Most of the comedians he booked, he did a good job on.
Yeah. So you go to the bar, you're charging your phone.
Mm-hmm. And I walk to the campus, get there, I look at this theater. It's a theater. Like, it's a big stage. About 600 seats in there.
Nice.
And I start thinking, this is about to suck.
Oh, no.
Because like I said before, this is like a Black student thing. Mm-hmm. There ain't 600 Black kids that even go to this fucking school. Yeah. So I'm just like, who the fuck is filling this theater?
Yeah.
And this is their homecoming week. So we go to the back. I go to the green room. I'm just back. There's snacks back there. Some pizza from this very shitty place in that town. They're not known for pizza.
Oh man.
So it was like not good, and then they had like chicken wings or whatever.
Oh.
And so yeah, I didn't eat anything. I sat my stuff down, and then then one of the comics comes in. Really cool. Meet him. He came in with some of his friends. Basically just from talking to him, I come to basically find out he's more of like a TikTok, Instagram person, not really stand-up comic. So I kind of get that from the conversation.
That's rough.
He's hosting. Okay. He's hosting. I'm like, okay. Then the older guy that's booking the show comes in. He calls me to the back. He gives me my check before the show starts. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Mm-hmm. So I thought. He's like, yeah, don't cash that till Wednesday.
Let's go. Let's go.
I'm like, what the fuck? Don't cash it till Wednesday. Why are you giving it to me now then?
Just put it in the mail at that point.
Yeah. So then he tells me, so, it's our homecoming week. Usually, so he let the kids basically determine what the show was going to be. He's like, usually we do a show at 8 o'clock, but for some reason the kids want to do a late night comedy show at 10:30. And now that we're about to do the show, now they all are like, damn, how are we going to get to the bars before they close at midnight? Because it's their homecoming weekend.
Ooh.
And so I'm just kind of like, why the fuck are you telling me this? Y'all booked the fucking show. I could have did the show at 8. I landed at 4.
That's like such a mean thing to say too.
So he tells us like, so basically all the 3 stand-ups are supposed to do 20 and the host is supposed to do 10. So he tells us, he's like, so if y'all, I think we were supposed to do, it was 20, 20, and 30. And basically he tells us like, if you want to cut off like 5 minutes off your set,
no,
you can.
You're
because,
kidding.
the kids don't want to be here all night. And I was just kind of like, so I told him, I said, so the amount of money we agreed upon, if I only do 15 minutes, I'll still get that same amount of money. He's like, yeah. I was like, all right, cool.
Say less.
All right. Fuck it.
You know what? It's like, okay, make my job easier.
Yeah, I'll cut 5 minutes off. Fine, fuck it. So then he tells the host, but you still do your full 10 at the top. And he's like, cool. So the show's getting started. It's DJ playing music. I look outside, just like I thought. About 120 kids show up. So,
that's good.
In a 600 person theater though.
Yeah. Well, I have
with a super high ceiling.
Yeah, I have a story after for you.
Okay.
That's worse.
And the thing is, these colleges don't know how to run shows, and I've done a few college shows in these auditoriums with these super high ceilings. The lights are on really bright, and I'm like, you want these comedians to come and make the kids laugh. How are the kids gonna laugh in the same environment that they're in when they're listening to yo boring ass talk about announcements and shit?
Yeah,
and it looks the exact same.
The place where they take finals.
Exactly. So to them, this is about to feel like a whole nother lecture just with a funny nigga now. You know what I'm saying? So the vibe's just not right. Like you can feel it. Like the kids are just like sitting there like this. And the lights are bright. A lot of seats are not filled in, and so. And they're all kind of sitting in like the middle section, right? So it's just a bunch of like black kids in this town and a few white kids that they fuck with or whatever. And so, so they getting the show started, tells the host, do your 10. So they play. Then the DJ played like he played like kind of a melancholy Drake song.
I mean, you'll have to be more specific.
I can't remember which Drake
Marvin's
song it
Room?
was.
Yeah.
It wasn't as bad as Marvin's Room, but it was like in that territory. And we kind of all looked at it. It was Girls Want Girls.
Let's go.
Which is a cool song, but not like a song to play before a comedy show to get college kids hype.
Yeah.
So we're like all looking in the green room because a couple of comics, they brought like a bunch of their friends because they lived like a couple cities over, so they just drove in.
Easy.
And so there's like a lot of guys in the green room. We were all kind of looking at each other like, that's a weird song to play before the show starts.
It's fun that you all had the thought together.
Yeah, like
I
we
love
all,
when that happens.
as soon as it started, like we all just kind of looked at each other like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know if the song to get the show hype is about Drake wishing he was a lesbian. You know what I'm saying? And so,
hey, that'd get me going.
Yeah, I guess. And so, so like that's the last song he plays, and they go, and here's your host, Bleep, because I'm not saying his name.
Right.
So he goes out there. There's an intercom in the green room because it's a big theater, so that way you don't have to like go outside to hear the other comedians. So we're all listening in. He goes out there like, "What's up, University of Blank?" And
we know it's not a state school.
Yeah.
We're slowly narrowing.
Yeah, we're getting it. We're getting it.
Or
now.
he could have said Blank Tech.
Yeah,
Ooh.
DeVry University.
Or he could have said Blank Community College.
Yeah, University of Phoenix Online.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
University of Blank Online.
Right. So he goes up there, what's up? They, they cheer a little bit. Wasn't that loud because it's not a lot of them and it's a big space.
Yeah.
And he's supposed to do 10 minutes. He proceeds to bomb for 2.
Ooh.
And in that 2 minutes, he goes, all right, y'all, I'm going to bring your first comic out.
Let's go. Let's go.
And everybody's looking at me, and because it didn't register at first, now I'm like, wait, I'm the first comic. Fuck.
So you're
I'm
going
taking
out.
off my jacket and getting all my shit together, like, yo, what the fuck? And so I'm like, and they all laughing and shit. They think it's funny.
Well, it is a little funny,
It's
but
funny,
it's also
but it happened to me. That's why it wasn't funny.
Yeah.
If it happened to another nigga, I would have laughed.
Yeah.
But, so I'm just like, yo, what the fuck? So I'm getting all my shit together, running towards the backstage area, and then, like, one of his friends is like standing there, and he had like this costume on, like I think, was it Michael Myers? It might have been like a Michael Myers costume. He had the mask, and he's like, "Oh, I guess like we were supposed to." I guess they were supposed to do a skit on stage.
Okay,
And,
I hate that.
Yeah, and he was like, "I guess he didn't, call me up there because like they didn't give him enough energy." And I was like, "What?"
Wait, dude, you're the host. Do your
And this is
job.
how I knew it wasn't gonna be something, because I knew
Yeah.
I knew it wasn't gonna be good, because or he was gonna host that well, because when we were in the back, he had said something about like, "Yo, man, yeah, hosting's like the easiest gig in comedy, blah blah blah."
Are you kidding me?
That's what he said, and I was like, "All right, man." I didn't address it, and then the show started, and he didn't even ask me like what credits I wanted him to say or anything. So I was like,
when do you want your light?
Yeah, none of that shit.
Yeah.
So I was like, shit, okay. So yeah, so I didn't expect this kind of debauchery though.
Right.
So he's just standing on stage awkwardly holding the mic, and the DJ's like playing, like not even played the song yet. So I just like walk out, grab the mic, then the DJ plays the song. So I'm looking at the DJ like, what the fuck? And I could tell like the DJ was probably thrown off, because he was probably like, I thought I had 8 minutes.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
So like I walk out there and grab the mic, and the kids are kind of looking at me like, what the fuck is this?
We
just had a dude yell at us for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And none of us laughed. And
Yeah.
the DJ's playing music when he's not supposed to. Like,
I also love that the friend was like, they're not showing him enough energy. Like, dude.
Yeah, they don't deserve
they
it.
Don't get
They
this,
don't
they don't get the
deserve
Michael
this skit.
Myers skit.
right.
Yeah.
Poor kids, right?
Yeah.
So I grabbed the mic, and I'm like looking at them like, if that had been like a regular show or something, and I wasn't getting like paid a bunch of money, I would have went in on the host and like made fun of him and like roasted him and shit.
100%.
But I was like, we're at this college. I just want to do this 15 minutes and get the fuck out of here and go to the airport.
Yeah.
So I just go in, and like I kind of like did a lot of riffing up top, because like nobody had really connected with the audience yet.
Right.
So like for the first 3 to 5 minutes of my shit, like I didn't even get to do the set I really planned for these kids, because I had to like get the show going kind of. So like I had to like host and
I
do
hope
the
you
first
got
set.
the host pay too, because damn.
I wanted to, and we'll get to that. But yeah, so like I just kind of started making fun of them, and it was fun, and they were laughing, and then I did my set, and it was a good set. Like I didn't kill like I wanted to.
But for that room.
But for that, in that situation, it was a good set. I got the show going, and they were laughing.
Yeah.
And then my thing is like, all right, man, I got the energy up. You didn't even do your full set. Don't come out and do jokes after I'm done.
This is my pet peeve.
I hate when hosts like do a bunch of time in between. So he's doing jokes and shit, and they're not working.
And then they ruin the mood again.
Yeah, and then he brought up the next comic, and like he kind of had to do a lot of leg work to get it going. He had a really good set. He had a better set than I did. He had a really good set. He did. And then
so they're getting on board. They're like warming up.
It just took a while because nobody hosted the show.
Yeah.
And I didn't know I was gonna have to do all that.
Right.
And then the headliner, then like basically he gets the energy up for the headliner. And then the host, and I thought he got like everybody clapping and standing up and shit. So I'm thinking he's gonna bring the headliner out. He brings the host back up. Host comes out. First thing you hear out of his mouth. So y'all see that Dahmer shit? I was like, nigga.
Oh my God. I cannot stand people.
So
The host goes out. He's like, "Hey, bro, thanks for getting them up."
exactly.
You know what really the room would love is a
Now
white
they
serial
get
killer.
it.
Jokes about a serial killer pedophile.
Yes.
Yeah. So he proceeds to bomb about Jeffrey Dahmer for a while, because I guess a documentary came out a few years ago or some shit like that. And then he did his other hacky joke about how men and women are different, because who would have thought that?
Oh my God.
Who would have known men and women
What a novel idea.
I would have never known that. So he bombed with that too. And then he's like, all right, I'm going to bring a headliner out. And the headliner crushed it.
Okay.
Killed it. Did his thing.
Done.
And
How
then-
long did the headliner do?
He did about 30.
Okay.
He crushed it.
Yeah.
And towards the end, you could tell the kids were like, I'm ready to go. But he was, he's funny.
Yeah.
So at the end, they were like, yo, let's get all the comedians back on stage. I already have my backpack on. I'm in the back of the auditorium.
Roll your bag out.
Uber's pulling up. Yeah.
Shit. So they bring all 4 of us back on stage, and the host, that was like the Instagram type person, literally he yells, he grabs the mic and goes, all right, everybody get your phones out. turn your flashlights on. We about to make this look like this is the most lit show
No.
you've ever been to.
Oh, that's so cringy.
And I'm just like, I'm standing there like, bro, am I in the middle of an Atlanta episode right now? This is crazy. Like, I'm watching this internet bullshit happen right in front of me.
Yeah.
And he's like, DJ, play something hype.
Yeah.
So the DJ plays some like turn ass music. And the kids start waving their flashlights and shit. And so the host is like, yo, we turned this up, blah, 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 getting the video.
No.
I was like, I think part of me was in the video, and I'm just kind of looking at the camera like, what the fuck?
That's so awkward.
And then like the next day it got posted and I was tagged in it and I looked at it and I was like, that is not what this was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was just like a 30-second thing they staged at the end of the show.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is not what the kids' energy was during
But
the show.
that's their clout, you know?
Exactly. And I'm
Yeah.
looking in the comments and people are like, yeah, you killing it, bro. You
Yeah.
killed it, big bro. All this kind of stuff. I see you doing your thing. And I wanted to jump in the comments and be like, no, I had to help him do his thing.
Yeah.
I had to do his job. And so I was like, fuck. So I'm like ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of pissed I didn't have this set I wanted to have. And like on the way out, like a bunch of the kids stopped me and they're like, you were so funny, blah, blah, blah. And like they took pictures with me. So they kind of like
That's
slowed me
sweet.
down.
Yeah.
And then I realized I left my phone charger in the green room. So I walked back to the green room to go get my phone charger. And the older guy that booked the show is just laid out on the floor. Just like laid out.
Sleeping?
And I'm just like, yo, what the fuck happened? I was like, did he and the Instagram nigga get into a fight? What happened? And then somebody's like, dude, he just had a stroke. We're calling 911 right now.
Get the fuck out.
Yeah, I'm just like, what the this is the worst night
This
in
is some
comedy.
M. Night Shyamalan.
This is a comedy horror night film, bro.
So
I
there
was
were
like-
other people in the room.
There was a bunch of people in the green room. He had brought like this girlfriend with him.
And you're like, well, has anyone seen my charger?
Yeah, I'm just like, I just wanted to get my phone charger. I didn't know all this shit was going
Damn,
on.
he's like laying on the cord. You're
on the
just,
ground
like,
and
scooting
so,
it
like,
under him.
Yeah.
so they're all like so the headliner is like on the phone with 911 and he's telling them like all the details and a couple people that work at the college are like telling us just like, you know, just sit tight, blah blah blah. And like one comedian that brought a bunch of his friends, so like they're just like they like ate all the green room food. So like I walked in
love
and like
that.
you just see a dude eating off a plate and he just goes, damn, he's just eating. And I was like, dude.
This is an episode of television.
Yeah,
This
I'm gonna
is
make it into a
absurd.
movie one day. And so like they needed somebody to like run outside and flag the ambulance down because it's a college campus, you know. So there's like certain ways that so I like ran outside to flag them down. They come in and like they're getting them on the stretcher and shit. It was just like it was just very like jarring. Like
Yeah.
we just did a comedy show and now we're like worried this dude's gonna die or not.
Also, you're probably running on very little sleep.
Yeah.
And just like,
I was so
what is
tired,
happening?
you know,
Yeah.
because I flew there early. I had to fly there early and shit, and
Yeah.
I'm flying out as I've been awake all day. And so like we're like, make sure he gets in the ambulance. And like
Oh my
I know, and this is fucked up, but like when they were putting him in the ambulance, like the first thought was like, I'm so glad he gave me my check before the show started, because that would be really weird to like a nigga's on a stretcher and you gotta reach in his jacket
Yeah.
to get the check and shit. And so yeah,
Or you got to call up and be like, how's he doing?
Yeah.
Good? That's good.
right,
Yeah.
So did he sign those checks or
Exactly.
did he put those in the mail? Huh?
you know, that was a very traumatizing experience just from the host shit to that.
Oh my God.
I get out of there, I get back to LA, and you know, a few days pass, and I get a call because I haven't cashed the check yet.
Oh no.
I get a call, and it's the older guy that booked the show. And he's like, "Hey man, I just wanted to call to just let you know I'm okay, and I didn't mean to scare you like that." I was like, "Oh, okay, that's good, man." He's telling me about he got some lady's number that worked at the hospital or some shit. I'm like, all right. I was like,
Yeah,
all
this
right.
is a
My guy
booker.
is a player.
This
I'm
is
like-
a booker.
Yeah,
This is
I'm
a
like,
booker if I've
all
ever
right,
heard one.
man. And then
he's just
he's
slinging
like,
pussy.
and he's like, and I know I told you Wednesday, but just wait a couple more days and the money will be in the account and then you can cash the check. And I was just
Oh
like,
no.
all right, man. And I just hung up.
Oh my
So
God.
we get to the day, we get to the day of that I'm supposed to cash a check. I get a text. Oh, the money's still not there.
No.
I'm like, all right, literally few more days. Then it's like, sorry, it's still not there. And then the next day, this is basically a little over a week since I've done the show.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, all right, you can cash it now. So I cash it. Money's in my account. I had to go home back to Mississippi for something, and I'm hanging out with my mom, and I just get a text message that says, the $2,500 that was deposited in your account had to be taken out, blah 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 blah. And I literally go, what the fuck? And I don't cuss around my mom. My mom was like, what? What is wrong with you?
Yeah.
And I was like the check I just did from that show just fucking bounced, dog. Like, And so I just had all these like fucking draft fees and shit. It took like, and then it still took like over a week and a half to 2 weeks to my agency and everything for them to get the money and wire it to me and all this kind of shit. So I was just like broke and shit for like over 2 to 3 weeks almost because of this show. Because I had to pay to get out there. So I basically paid to do comedy in this bullshit.
You got to pay to play.
Wow.
Yeah. And I didn't get paid till weeks later because the money wasn't in it. So I was just like, why are you running a show if you don't even have the money to do it?
Right.
And so that was just like, that kind of put a bad taste in my mouth with college shows. I don't ever want to do that shit again.
I think the student run one. So this is why I was laughing when you were like, 120. And I was like, oh, that's great. Because I got booked for a college show.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, you can do 30. And I was like, well, I asked, like, who are you guys doing, like a lineup or what's the deal? And they were like, well, we have a comedy like club at the school, and it's like the person who wins this competition will open
for you, yeah,
and then it'll be another comic, and then it'll be you,
right?
And I was like, all right, that's great, I'll do 30. It's fine. And then they didn't tell me that the other comic was also doing 30, and so it was literally like 5-minute opener, 30, which even that I was like, okay, I know the other comic will be fine, we're professionals, we can do this, right? I get to actually I should back up. It's like 2 days before, and I'm booked on this thing. Have not been given the address. Nope. Have not been given any directions on what to do, where to go, whatever.
Shit is the worst ones.
And so I messaged the gal, and I'm like, hey, where is this place? It's like, where do I go? What am I doing? And she messages me back the morning of the show.
Yep.
And is giving me the address and is like, yeah, parking's kind of weird.
What does that mean?
What does that mean? And then I'm like, okay, like, whatever. And then I'm like, I'm checking their social media because now I'm like curious, right? Like, what kind of show is this going to be?
Right.
Because I see that it's in a theater. So I'm like, oh man, they have us in one of the theaters. Like, maybe they get a lot of kids who come to these shows, right?
No, that's just the venue the college.
Because it's different when it's like, you go through like NACA and they're booking like people with, who tour colleges, right? This is just student run. And so I'm looking and I'm like, oh, they literally, the first post they ever made about the show was an hour before it started.
No.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
What did they just thought people were just going to show up?
Yeah. Uh-huh. And I get, but it
That's
gets
like the
so
most
much worse.
Student, like cram before a test.
It
They're
gets
just like,
so
oh
much
fuck, marketing.
worse. We get there, we go inside, and I'm like, hey, nice to meet you. They're like, yeah, if you guys have merch, like I was like, I didn't bring merch to this. Right. Okay.
College kids are going to
And then we get there, and the guy, they're like, yeah, so this is like our lighting guy, and I was like, oh yeah, we just need a stool and a mic, and I was like, who's hosting? And they were like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And I go, well, like, who's going to introduce the comics? Or, like, are we bringing each other up? Or, like, what's up? And I'm, like, talking to the girl who, like, is part of this student organization. And she's like, I don't really know. I'm a biology major.
Yep.
She was like, I don't know anything about comedy.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, that's okay. We'll figure it out, And I was like, the theater's huge. We walk in and I'm like, whoa, how many people does this seat? And they're like, oh, like 1,200. And I go, how many people are you expecting? And I'm like talking to the girl who won the competition, right? And this is how I knew it was going to be bad. She was so lovely, but she goes, yeah, I was so excited to win. A lot of people were mad about it because like I won because a bunch of my friends were there. And I was like,
that's how it works.
Shit.
That's how it works.
No, it was like her first set ever of comedy, and she won.
Let's go.
Okay, and I would go, how many people are you expecting? And she's like, I don't know. I invited my whole class, so probably like 200 people. And I was like, even that, I was like, thank God, like 200 people. I'm fucking pumped.
Yeah.
It's 5 minutes before showtime.
Nobody's there,
including the lighting and sound person. There were 9 of us, all sitting in different sections of the theater. Some people were
theater.
up top, and there's 2 levels of the theater.
Jesus Christ.
And so I did 30 minutes for 9 people, and I got paid. I cashed that check right away. Yeah. But I was like, this is the funniest shit I've ever done in my life, because literally the night before I had one of the best shows of my life. And so I was like, oh, I'm doing 30 tomorrow, for this college, super pumped. And then it was like the Like, it was such a shit show. It was so funny.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
The student-run college shows is terrible.
They're bad.
I used to live by a college in the Valley.
Yeah.
And so they had an open mic. I remember they had like a college open mic up there for like comedy and poetry and music. And so I was like chilling in my apartment and I saw the flyer and I was like, yeah, I just want to go do 5 minutes. And so So I went there. It was like free pizza, and I'm young, so I just walked in.
You're like, food?
I just walked in and signed up and sat in the back, and I went up there and I did, and like nobody did comedy though. It was all poetry and music.
Okay,
They're all college kids, so it's fucking terrible.
Yeah.
So I like walk up there and just did this like 5-minute set and just like crushed in front of like all these kids. And I guess the lady that ran events was just in the room, and she's like, "Who are you? Because you obviously don't go to this school." I was like, "Yo, I'm just a stand-up comic that lives in the area, and I just needed to get up tonight."
That is so.
And she was
funny.
like, "Would you like to do like the monthly show here?" And I was like, "Sure. How much does it pay?" She's like, "I'll give you $150 to
You're
do
like, hell yeah,
to do like 15-20 minutes." And I was like,
Yeah.
"All right." And I was like, "You gonna let me be as dirty as I was right here?" And she's like, "Sure."
Yeah.
She lied. And so like the show comes around. Basically, it's 3 comedians. I know. I know the other 2 because they're like LA comics. And so like right before the show, she literally goes like, "Hey, like you guys think maybe you could just clean it up like a little bit?" And I was like, "Yo, what the
mean?
fuck?"
Yeah, clean up a little bit.
Like she was like, "You don't have to be super clean, but like certain stuff." I was like, "Dude, when I asked you, because I don't, that's like one of my pet peeves. I don't do clean. Fuck that shit.
Yeah.
If you do a clean comedy show, just don't book me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
just tell me what it is up front.
I agree.
And so it's just like and I'm going first. So it's like right before my set, you tell me I do 15, and then that's the thing, 15, 20 minutes is a long time.
Right.
And this is 2018, I think.
And also clean means different
Yeah.
stuff to
Yeah.
everybody.
So I'm
That's the
thinking
thing.
like, shit, like I got to change a bunch of shit.
Right.
And so, and here's the thing. So it's just 3 comedians. They don't have a host. Basically, somebody from like the student organization, this girl, there's like music playing. And this place looks like a church. Like it's huge high ceilings.
Yeah.
It's all white. And it's just like, she like walks on stage. She's like, "So we have a comedy show tonight. Thank you guys for coming." It's like soft music playing in the background.
It's Christian.
And then I guess like they were taking up donations for some super sad thing going on in Africa. So it's like, yeah, and you know, the kids that need water, thank you for being here. We're taking donations for that. And without further ado, here's your first comedian, Niles Abston. And so I'm like walking up like, all right, so y'all just heard about African kids dying and not getting water.
Yeah.
This super monotone girl that doesn't. So like I have to go first and just do 15 minutes cold. Like it was just, I had a good set because basically 5 minutes into the set, I literally go, "Yo, they told me in the back to be clean, and that's why this shit's not funny. So I'm gonna be real. Fuck that shit."
Yeah.
And they loved it.
And they go, "Ah!"
Yeah.
Because like I literally 2 Chainz was booked to do a music show on campus a few nights before, but he canceled. And I go, "This lady that booked this show for y'all literally had 2 Chainz was supposed to be up here last week, and I got to come up here and do clean jokes. I think that's bullshit." And they're like, "Yeah." I was like, "He literally says she got a big booty, so I call her Big Booty." That's what I go, "Lady, that's what you was booking in front of these kids. So I'm gonna say whatever the fuck I want to." And then they all just went crazy, and I killed it for like the last 10 minutes.
I love that.
And then so the girl wouldn't have to come up. I literally just called the next comic up. So I was like, let's just keep going. I just killed it.
Yeah.
And so I went to the back, and she was like so angry. She just hands me the check and walks off. I was like,
But it's so
dude.
unfair though, because it's like, I mean, college students, they want that stuff.
they're worse people than us.
Yes.
They're dirtier than us.
And they can be fun audiences,
They
know,
can
because
if
they're
you-
at that perfect age.
Right.
You
It's
know?
just colleges don't know how to run a comedy
They
show.
don't know.
Like I wish I could like run like some kind of course for these
Right.
schools, because stop booking these huge auditoriums.
Ugh.
That many kids are not coming to a comedy show.
Yeah.
Yep.
9, 10 o'clock. If I was in college, I partied and fucked and sucked and did all that shit.
Oh.
I wasn't going to a comedy show on Friday.
Yep.
Fucking nerd.
Unless
If-
it's big.
Yeah.
I went to a few.
If one of my
I was a
friends
nerd. I was a
ever was
nerd.
like, "Yo, you want to go to this comedy show on campus?" I would have been like, "Get the fuck out my face and let's go drink this plastic bottle of Burnett's vodka and go to this party." Fuck it, dude. That's some nerdy ass shit. So you have to like make it fun.
Yeah.
You can't just
Yeah.
like make it feel like a lecture at college again. So yeah, unless it's like some big name, like I know Hassan Minaj, like he kills it at colleges and shit like that because they know who the fuck he is though.
He also does a specific kind of comedy.
Exactly.
Like he uses projectors.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know?
he does
And
teacher
he's
comedy.
and he's also famous.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you're not booking that level of people, you gotta know how to set the vibe. And so like book a little like there's so many rooms on campus. Book a spot that only like 100 people can fit in. So that way, if you do more than that, now it feels like, oh, this shit's lit.
This is a show. Yeah.
Because think, if that place had been smaller and like the 120 kids had been packed in and a couple kids walk up like, oh shit, I can't even get into this shit.
Right.
Next comedy show, I got to get here early. So it's just like, if you've never sold 600 seats, why would you do a show in a place that's 600 people? You've never done it before. What makes you think you're going to do it because you posted a flyer the week before?
Right, yeah.
And so I just be like, bro, don't book me on. And I told my manager, don't book me on no more of this shit ever again.
It's rough.
I'm not doing colleges anymore unless it's like my show.
Well, it's not worth it.
It's not.
It's just, I mean, no matter what the money is, it's like so much stress, you know, and I don't know. I mean, whatever. You need a paycheck sometimes, right? Like that just is what it is.
Yeah.
But like, it sucks the joy out of getting that paycheck when you're like, well, now I remember this was one of the worst experiences of my life, you know? So, I mean, hey, you got a good story.
I got a good story out of it, but I was like, this is fucking terrible.
It is funny because I think the colleges book clean because they don't want the parents freaking the fuck out.
Right.
If they're like, oh, you got this coming, then a parent looks it up and then they're like, this guy's filthy or whatever.
But then
but the kids are like, we don't want to see this Jeff Dunham shit. No, get this. We want like we're on TikTok. We're seeing crazier shit every day.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then how do some of those super conservative comedians like get booked on stuff? Like, because colleges will invite people who are controversial, but for some reason with comedy, they don't want to do that.
That's the thing. Comedy's always put in this like different thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because if you're controversial in a comedy space, I don't know why, but people like make this a big deal. But the music artists they book on colleges and like keynote speakers and shit.
Yes.
So it's like you'll book Jordan Peterson to come talk to the kids.
That's exactly what I was.
But I can't make a joke about my dick though. Like, get the fuck out of here, man.
Yeah. Like what's worse?
It's
you know?
weird. It's weird how they are about comedy and shit.
Yeah.
But like they'll book any music artist.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But
well, it's funny. I think just generally a lot of people do not know how to put on good comedy shows.
No.
You know?
Even comedians. That's what pisses me off when a comic puts on
we live in
a
LA
show.
and comedians still can't
And I'm
do that
like,
shit.
bro, you have been to how many shows and you haven't picked up
Anything.
anything at all. You haven't picked up like just you need one good light. A mic, it needs to sound good. That's like bare minimum. Bare minimum. And then if you want to go bigger, you can go bigger. But it's like
it's the most low production thing, and people fuck it up.
Still, people fuck it up.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I've done a show where I literally had like one of those lights in my bag without the softbox, but like in my bag, and I was there and I had my camera and I like the lighting was atrocious, and I was like, are you gonna do anything? And they're like, no, it looks cool. It was a producer. I'll tell you who it was later, but it was another comic.
I know that impression.
It was another.
I know who it is.
It's not. That was not who it was.
Okay, so you do the same voice for.
Yeah, I don't know why. Well, he was drunk, but
okay, there you go.
But yeah, I was just like, what the fuck is this? And he's just like kind of looking around, and I'm like. So I put one of them on the ground, just like shining up, and it's like it just made it so much better, but it's still shit. But I'm like,
it looks better.
Just a little bit more effort is all you need.
Well, you produce a lot of shows too, which I think can take the joy out of comedy. Like I'll produce like one-off shows every once in a while, but it's so much work, you know, and you do it very, very regularly.
Yeah, doing my own, because like I started my own show in 2021. And it's become like a brand now, but like that was really just so I could like have a space where I could like work on a new hour and everything. Yeah. And I would just book friends and dope music acts and shit. And it kind of just like took off out here. Like I sold all of them out over the last couple of years, and I did my festival. I've done 2 festivals so far, and then I toured twice over the last 2 years. And like that shit, like producing all of that has made me, it's made it really hard to do other people's shows out here.
Yeah.
Because, like, even, like, my friends will be like, yeah, bro, I don't even want to do any other shows now after I do yours. And I feel the same way. So, like, the show we did last night, I love doing their show because they're always, like, nicely ran.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of shows in L.A. Like, I'll show up and be like, why did I do this.
Ooh,
So
yeah.
now I make up excuses to why I can't do a show. Like I'll take the less stage time if it means like I'm not wasting my time anymore.
Yeah.
Because it's me and my friends, we just do such fun shit and have a good time. It's like, why come down here when we're already up here?
Well, that was something I wanted to tell you. I really admired when you invited me to do that second show. Was like I go back there and the energy. You just you just collaborate with your friends, which is like the dream, right? But like he had like his filmmaking friends, he had his music friends, he had other comedians, and everyone was just like eating pizza together and like doing shots, and it was just such good energy from everyone. Like it was really fun. I'm not saying it has to be that at every show, right? Yeah. But like you truly do collaborate with people that you respect, and then you're like, oh, these are just like the people that I love who are my friends, and we're also all talented, so it's the way to do it. But
it's also a thing too where it's like once you get a taste of that, especially now where it's like the technology gap has closed so much, so it's like, okay, we could film a show, we could do whatever, but you see how achievable it is, that you're just like, oh yeah, this isn't like the fucking 80s where I need to get up in front of everyone in this city and whatever. It's like
and go to Podunk Town.
Yeah, it's like we have the internet. I don't need to do that. Like I can do the specific shows I want to do, like you said, less stage time, but I'm not really missing anything, because those shows you show up to and you're just like, I should have stayed home.
Yeah,
right.
If that's your first thought before you get on stage, then what was the point of being there?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
You really gonna come up with something so genius on stage? You're like, man, I'm glad I drove out here.
Right.
No, you're probably not.
Yeah.
You're probably just gonna say the same jokes you've said before, get off stage and go home and drink to forget about it. Yeah, that's the other thing. Since I've done less shows from these motherfuckers out here, I drink less.
There you go.
Yeah.
Less to have to forget now.
Yeah. And you're out less. Yeah. Like you're out later less. And that's the thing too. I mean, comedians drink very heavily. But
it's like but New York, I love doing everybody's show out there. It's really fun. Like just like the vibe in New York. Because basically in New York it's like every comic runs their own show, basically.
Yeah.
So it's fun. But out here in LA, I
feel like they have a lot of rooms that are smaller.
Yeah.
Like and people can do fun. Yeah.
I've done shows in New York where 10 people were there, but it felt like you're at the fucking Apollo.
Yes. Exactly.
It fit the people that were supposed to be in there, and it was a fun time, and it was a good vibe. And a lot of times it's just like, if it's just dark and a low ceiling, people are just going to have a good time.
That's what I'm saying. Like my favorite places to perform still are the dingy like basements.
Yeah.
Like I don't need to have like a crazy cool venue. And I think like, I don't know, I've noticed this, maybe you can confirm, but I feel like I've noticed a lot of shows that are like, they have the aesthetics for Instagram, but then you go to the show and you're like, oh, that was not what it looked like.
Right.
It was going to be on Instagram.
Right.
And then same thing, like I've seen a few TikTok famous people who started as comedians on TikTok and now they're trying to do stand up. And it is rough to watch.
It's bad.
Yeah, it's really bad. Mm-hmm. It's an interesting dichotomy for sure.
You're watching somebody who is an open micer level comedian, but they have millions of people watching.
Right.
So
and they're doing 25 and they have maybe 3 minutes.
There's a certain, and I tell people this all the time, there's a certain level of shame and embarrassment you have as an open micer when you start comedy.
Thank you so much for saying that. That's so real.
And you should have that.
Not everybody though.
No, you have
not
to
everybody,
have it.
but you
Most
need
people
it.
do though.
But there's people that are, I'm going to this show, I'm doing this. And it's like,
right.
they're all
But
open
if you
mics.
gotta-
Do not tell people about that.
Yeah,
Right.
that's their tours. It's just mics.
I wouldn't even tell people I was doing shows and shit. Like I didn't want anybody to know.
Yeah.
I would posting videos. I don't get anybody that's like 2 years into comedy posting videos.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
I agree with that. I agree.
Because in fact, you're gonna get better, hopefully.
Yeah.
And years later, you're gonna be like, "Fuck, why
I
did I even
shouldn't
put
have
that
put that
out?"
out. Yeah.
Right.
And so you got these people that have 1 million followers, 2 million followers that start doing stand up. They don't have that shame and embarrassment and the humbleness that you should have as an open micer because you're down here.
Yeah.
They think they're hot shit because they post a video and they get a bunch of laugh emojis and shit, and they think that's going to translate to the stage. So they'll go up there and now people are giving them longer sets and things like that, and they're not even ready for it yet.
Right.
Oh, and they haven't learned any of the lessons.
No.
So it's like you haven't done a bar show where it's 7 people, 5 of them that they're there every night, and they're mad that you are there.
Yeah, they don't even want
they're
you to be there.
mad that you are talking over their football or whatever.
Exactly.
And you got to learn how to make them come around around, or
Yeah.
you've never done the shows where it's some weird shitty club or some room, something happens in the audience and the club owners are not paying attention, so it just keeps happening and you have to figure out how to go around it or whatever. They're just like, oh, I'm in these theaters, it's great, it's all good, but it's like there's so much shit you haven't learned.
And I hate it because like they're like diluting the stand-up product in a way.
They are.
Because most people, you got to think, most people in America have never been to a comedy show.
Yes,
I know.
Majority of
100%,
people have never been.
Yeah.
So what people are getting their stand-up comedy from is HBO, Netflix, what they seen on Comedy Central, and then what goes viral on social media.
Yep.
So if you're not on TV and if you're not one of these people that's in the mainstream, like that's going viral all the time on social media, then your brand of comedy, your style of comedy, most people are not going to be aware of.
Yeah.
So there's people in their 20s, early 30s that don't even know there's a bunch of dope stand-up comics their age talking about shit that they want to hear.
That's
and
relatable to
that's
them.
relatable because the industry has done a terrible job of elevating those people because they're still trying to get as much money as they can out of the Chappelles and the Rocks and all these and Wanda Sykes and shit like that. That they're not elevating these people that are in kind of in the middle. We have all this log jam right now, and so you have young people that are kind of like surpassing all the people in the middle, but don't have the skill set yet. But they have like all these followers because they post hacky videos on Instagram and TikTok and shit.
Well, that's a good way to describe it, the log jam.
Yeah,
like
it's so much log jam in the middle.
The best comedy is not happening on Netflix.
Exactly.
It's at self-produced small theaters.
Look, some of the worst comedy is happening.
Exactly.
Netflix,
like if you really know comedy and everything, everybody's like like pretty much your favorite comedian is some person that has like a certain amount of followers on Twitter and they drop into a club here and there and then they go on the road and do like rooms of like 100 to 200.
Yes.
Those are like the best comedians in the world.
That's
right
why I like asking comedians who their favorite comedians are. Like people who are actually either working the road or regularly booked or whatever versus like, I'm sorry, I don't care about who the average Joe's favorite comedian is.
No, because most, and I say this all the time, majority of the country's taste for entertainment is bad. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
That's so
and
real.
what I was trying to explain to somebody was the way mainstream media works, the majority of America is just going to watch whatever's put in front of them.
Right.
So you could take somebody that's probably not even that great at stand-up, but if you put a bunch of ads and put him up in front of people all the time, he's their favorite comedian all of a sudden because they just see him all the time. So it's just like, that's why Marvel movies and Transformers and all this kind of shit, it's the highest grossing movies is because that's what y'all put all the money into.
Right, exactly.
And so whatever you put in front of people, they're just going to watch that shit. Very few people, that's why people like really, they really like make it a big deal or they really get proud when like a music artist that they knew about way before they finally pops. It's like, oh, I knew that they were good. None of y'all knew. You didn't like them till they had an album go platinum and shit like that. That's why people really take it to heart because they actually have taste. Most people don't discover somebody until they've become this mainstream thing, and they're probably usually a watered down version of who they used to be by that point too. So that's how comedy is. So like you're seeing a lot of logjam right now because we're in an era where like a late night TV set doesn't even do anything for you anymore.
I was just thinking about this the other night because I'm like, I mean, I think there's also this problem of like the celebrity comedian where it's like you get too big and then you're talking about shit that no one cares
Nobody
about.
cares about.
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
it's rich people problems.
Yeah,
it
it's
was
like
Kevin Hart when he did the
tour
the stadium,
with the raccoon
Philly
thing.
stadium.
So bad.
Yeah, he did the raccoon, and he was talking about how his driveway was so long it scared him. And it's like, bro,
and
I don't even have a garage.
I love Kevin Hart.
His new set
but
is
that
really
was
good.
So
Really?
shit.
Like
yeah.
he's like just talking about real shit and like his
Thank
life
God.
and stuff and not being rich anymore.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
God.
Like it's really funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
And but yeah, I hate that
Yeah.
special.
Yeah, I
They-
was like,
It's
bro,
so bad.
There
like, no one
needs
can relate to this.
Yeah, it was just not like that's not how Kevin's material started
No,
either, right?
and that's the thing.
That was the
Yeah.
switch.
You become successful and you forget about like, well, why did people like me in the first place?
Right.
Because he was very candid about like, yo, I'm a short dude and bullshit happens to
Right.
me.
Yeah.
And that's why we loved him and the act outs
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
And he was endearing and charming.
yeah, and then you
and-
get
But
away
in
from
a-
that.
In the same sense, though, it feels like he did kind of realize that and was like, oh, I'm talking about my life. That's why people like me.
Yeah.
So this is my life now. So I'm going to talk
Yeah.
about that. And they're
Exactly.
still going to like. But then he doesn't realize, bro, most people don't even have an eighth of the money that you
Right,
have.
right.
So,
Like, have y'all seen Seinfeld perform lately?
I watched
we
like
just
five.
talked about
We
this.
just I watched like 5 minutes of that special he put out a couple years ago, and then
Oh.
as soon as he talked about airplane food, I was like, I'm done.
I mean,
I'm not
like,
a big Seinfeld
I
fan.
haven't seen it.
I love the sitcom. I think he's a terrible stand-up comedian, and I think he always has been. I'll be real.
I have a real issue with his writing advice stuff, and
I
a
mean,
lot of people look.
He should not be giving advice on anything.
No, he should not be
But
giving
the
advice.
TV
he
show is
sold
amazing.
a book of set lists.
Yeah.
What more do
thing-
you need?
And the funny thing about Seinfeld is the beginning of each episode is the worst part when he performs.
Yeah.
And like, I don't even think he realizes this, that the sitcom Seinfeld is about a comedian who has 3 friends that are funnier than him.
Oh my God, that you just blew my mind.
I have tried to get into.
I don't even
I
think
have
he knows
tried to
that.
get into Seinfeld so many
The show's
times.
dope.
And the closest,
it.
the
Yeah.
closest I ever got was last year when I was high, and I was like, okay, it's good if you just ignore Jerry.
That's the point.
If you ignore Jerry the whole episode,
That's the point.
it's like actually watchable. But
Yeah.
everything else, I'm
Elaine,
just
Kramer,
like,
and George are the funny people.
Yes. Yeah.
But he's the comedian in the show.
Yeah.
It's a show about a comedian who has friends that
Yeah.
are funnier than
But
him.
even then, watching it, I'm like,
I
don't-
think the show's
I watch
hilarious.
it, I don't really laugh, but then if I talk about it later with someone and they're like, "Oh yeah, this," I'm like, "Okay, that's funny."
The writing
but
is
when I
like-
watch it, I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Yeah, the
I
writing
fuck
on that
with
show
Curb,
is
though.
just so. Oh, Curb's my shit.
Because
Yeah,
that
I
I'm
love
like, okay,
Curb.
this is
Well, that's the
actually
mind behind Seinfeld,
This,
though.
this
Yeah.
that's it, but it's like more real. It's less sitcom.
Yeah.
And so with him, it's like he basically was just crowned. This is what a comedian is.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he's like the template for like what a comedian
It's
is.
like
right?
he's the comics comic.
So
right?
and that's why he's famous. He's not famous because he's funny. He's famous because that's what a
He
comedian
was
is.
it. Yeah.
And so he's super famous. So people are gonna laugh because it's like I'm seeing Seinfeld.
Right.
So I went to go. I saw him. He propped in at a club one day, and it was just crazy. He has this like very like crazy aura around him. Like he pulled up in his convertible. There's people waiting outside for him to take his
Yeah.
jacket and shit. He's like the president of comedy. He
Yeah.
knows it too.
he fucking knows.
100%.
And he loves
knows
it.
it. Oh,
And
he
he
loves
loves
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he goes in there and he does the hackiest jokes I've ever heard in my life. But people in there screaming and laughing and
Yeah.
throwing their hat and shit. Dude does a joke where he literally says like, "We get on the train, but we take an Uber. What is the deal with that?"
Oh.
And these people are dying
No,
laughing. And I'm just
Niles.
like, you are sheep. And that's when I realized it's like, dude, people are just gonna laugh
Yeah.
and enjoy whatever's put on TV.
That's why I think there needs to be a middle ground, right? Like you should be able to live off of comedy, right? But right now it's either like you're either making millions or you're making
That's the
nothing,
problem.
Yeah.
right?
There's
That's
no
the
middle class
problem.
in comedy.
Yeah, and really, it's like like the thing that I used to be like, oh, like it'd be so cool to like book this huge theater or something, right? And now I'm like, no, the minute that people know you, you get away with so many shitty jokes, and I
Oh,
want to work for it.
100%.
I like earning jokes on
Yeah.
stage.
Exactly.
I like being like, oh, I'm gonna have to work this crowd.
You also
know?
you get out of touch too because you have that
Yeah.
built-in audience that'll laugh at anything you
Yeah.
fucking say.
Yep.
But then too, you're not you're not in the trenches.
Right.
You're
Yeah.
not watching shit.
Exactly.
So you're doing jokes like even fucking Chappelle specials. I'm like, I've heard that joke a million times.
Yeah.
I've heard that joke a
Oh
million
my
times
God,
because they
yeah.
don't go out to shows. They don't
They
go
don't
to open
know.
mics,
He's
so they
so
don't
out of
see
touch.
they don't
Yeah.
Very
see
out of touch.
everyone is coming
Yeah.
to the same conclusion
Right.
and it's low hanging fruit. They're
Exactly.
just like
Exactly. And then his audiences, they don't watch comedy.
They
Yeah.
just
They just watch
they
him.
watch him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he can just get away with a lot of shit. And so as like a comedian that's like really doing this shit, you like, man, fuck.
Yeah.
Like, what's
Yeah.
the point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's hard, but it's like, because like we all know, like you see these people every day, like, well, I'm just around the funniest people in the world.
Right.
And nobody gives a fuck because you haven't been on a movie yet.
Yeah.
And like we're right now, we're in a weird time for stand-up comedy because we're the first generation of comedians that there's no concrete set up way for upward mobility anymore. Now it's just like
It's a free-for-all.
Even your reps are like, just do a bunch of shit and hopefully
Yeah.
one sticks.
Make your
Yeah.
own stuff, which is what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like it's just like do everything and then whichever one sticks, that's the
Yeah.
one we'll drive into
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
we'll get you a Netflix special off of that. So you got people like doing all this shit and posting clips when like, did you even really want to post that?
Yeah.
Like I see comedians doing shit on like TikTok and other stuff, and I'm like, you don't want to do that. Why'd you post that? And then they're doing it because they're like, I have to feed some algorithm
Yup.
because somebody told me I have to go viral, and if I do go viral,
Yeah.
then maybe it'll lead to something. Bro, most people that go viral, it's like, all right, you went viral, and then it leads to nothing afterwards, unless you have something to like
Right.
feed it into. And so like we're in this time where like. Now it's like for a black comedian, there is no Def Jam to go get on, and
Yeah.
now you become a star anymore.
Yeah.
There's no Star Search anymore.
Yeah.
There's no late night set that makes you a star anymore. None of that shit exists anymore.
well, it's not even fighting for stage time. You literally have to make your own platform.
you have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's also the way these platforms used to. everybody got a special back in the day because they would just give you a special because they're like, well, hopefully it'll pop. They'll become a star, and we've already got them locked in for another one.
Yeah.
And so now we're gonna make that money. They don't do that anymore. You have to be a star to get a special now.
Yeah.
How do you become a star? You got to do something on your own now. So like you got people with comedy specials now. There's some of the best comedy specials that are like free on the internet, and it's just like it's like all the specials are going to the famous people. So you get a lot of watered down shit because some of these people don't even want to do specials, but it's like, why would I turn down $10 million?
That's exactly what it is.
So it used to be the comedy special was a way to pop. Now it's you have to make a comedy special and then maybe you'll pop off of that, the one that you made or some shit like that.
I wish more people would do albums again. You know, I wish people would do 30-minute albums again.
There's no incentive to, though.
Because that to me was kind of the golden age when everybody was doing just a quick 30-minute album. Because you know, you still have enough to keep for an hour, like half an hour of an hour when you're touring or hitting the road or something. But then you're also like, I don't know, I like listening to comedy and forcing myself to listen. It is nice to like have the visual of a special.
Well, the reason to do the album was so if you weren't one of the ones that got picked to do the special, you did the album because then somebody could just slide that to a booker at a late night show and be like, yo,
get them a late night spot.
Get them a late night. But now if you don't give a fuck if you get a late night set or not, why do an album? Now you do a podcast.
Exactly. Yeah. See, everything's so twisted around now.
And then even with the podcasting thing, it's like there's a lot of people eating up top, making a lot of money and shit. Yeah. But like this shit is like hard to produce and put together. You don't have like a whole team and stuff.
Right.
So it's like even with the podcasting thing, I guess this is the thing now you're supposed to do, but it's like, how long is this going to be the thing you're supposed to do? And then it's another thing.
And then people don't have a point of view when they have a podcast. No. It's just a bunch of buddy podcasts.
Yeah, they just start a podcast to start a podcast.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you do stand-up, you need something.
Yeah.
So you either do sketch, you do podcast, you do
But
TikTok,
I think it's always
whatever,
been
like,
a little bit of that because I think stand-up has always been an avenue to like either, you know, become an actor or,
you get a sitcom.
Get a sitcom, do whatever, right? And I think it's so different now where I think it is cool that some people can literally just make money off of being stand-ups, which is great. But it is like harder, doubly harder in other ways because you're like I'm just constantly overwhelmed with like, oh, I need to do this. I need to do X, Y, Z, you know? And it's just
you get burned out.
You get burned out.
It's
there's
hard.
no path anymore.
It's hard to just make money doing stand-up. It's very few people that are blessed to be able to do that shit.
And it's like, and
it's dwindling down as we speak.
And
100%.
the whole like path now, it's not okay, just be undeniably funny, be the best, the best that you can be on stage.
It's the business.
Be the biggest you can be on social media. So it's not like the grind isn't okay, let me sit down and write these jokes like blah blah blah. It's like, okay, let me feed this algorithm. Let me fucking make sure I'm posting videos 3 times a day.
Right.
Doesn't matter what they are.
Good shit doing that.
No,
and it's like
impossible.
And it's like that's the thing where people say, "Oh, I'm a creator." It's like, okay, well, what do you make? And they're like, "Oh, I just like I create."
Yeah,
so I just make
LA
videos
thing.
no matter what.
Are these people that'll
is.
have like host in their bio?
Yeah. It's like, what do you mean? What's your project? Like, what do you?
Like, I'll see some people that have in their Instagram bio actor/host.
Okay.
Like, fuck off.
You know, and it's like I guess some people just host anything, I guess.
Yeah.
But like, it is so. I mean, I think I respect doing a little bit of everything because I feel like that as a creative person, I do enjoy that. You know. But it's become not this thing of like, oh, I want to work on this project or, oh, I want to do a little bit of acting. Oh, I want to do a little bit of writing. It's become like, well, do everything. And then, like you said, see what sticks. And then that's
there's
your
no
avenue.
drive to
There's
it.
no drive to it. It's just like, oh, I'm losing out because someone else is going to take that opportunity if I'm not doing it. Yeah.
And it's just not a good way to look at art.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
And so that's why we get a lot of bad stuff.
It's quality over quantity.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. It's like, man, like, I feel like TV would be better, movies would be better, but all the funniest people in the world is doing this bullshit.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's why
Here
I think
we are. Yeah.
I mean, I really do think it's shifting, and I just started a production company because of that same thing. But because I've always been in that same headspace of like, I just want to make cool shit with my friends,
right?
And I mean, because of the technology shit and whatever, but. Now there's YouTube, there's Spotify. You can just put your own shit out there, and then through like Patreon or whatever, get that money back. I mean, there's some paranormal show that was on BuzzFeed. I assumed that their contract ended or some shit, and then they just didn't renew with BuzzFeed, and then made their own company and went to YouTube, and they're making way more money.
Wow.
So it's shit where it's like,
and they're doing it better. Let me tell you.
And there's more. So there's more incentive now to be like, I'll just do this shit on my own.
That's I'm just like, let's just.
And so it's like, it's kind of a thing where it's shifting. It sucks because we are still in that headspace. That's a good way to put it. I never thought of it. We're that generation that it's like tipping, because we still do kind of think, oh, I need to work with a network. I need to work with X, Y, and Z.
And they want you to think that.
Well, but in
reality, you think about it, and it's like, well, what can they offer you that is bigger than whatever? Oh, Netflix is going to give you a special? Bro, Netflix puts out a special every fucking week at this point, to the point where you don't even know they're out.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I'm literally
shit,
like
blah,
trying
blah, blah.
to catch up on stuff.
It's like, oh, they have a special out? Oh, okay. Oh, shit, they put a special out?
Yeah.
2 weeks ago? Never heard anything about it.
The comedy specials where somebody is personalized and they put it on their YouTube channel and they're doing it directly to the internet.
Right.
And people can like watch it when they want to, are doing way better.
Yeah.
And if you look at the comedians right now that are like killing it right now, they're on some real direct to consumer type shit. They're doing way better than these people that have Netflix and HBO specials.
You don't have to jump through all their hoops. You don't have to fucking take notes, spend to whatever. I mean, try to sell it. That's cool. Make that money. But at the same time, it's like, gone are the days when you're like, all right, this network won't buy it. All right, I guess I just have to fucking sit on this until someone wants it. It's like, no, just put it out for yourself.
Yeah.
Even like fucking Louis C.K. when he would put shit out on his website.
I mean,
$5.
Some people should not be putting out specials.
Oh, of course.
100%.
Of course.
It's been almost clouded with it where like, I don't know. I know like 15 people recording specials this year. And maybe doing comedy a little bit longer than me or around the same time as me. And I fully respect it. Do whatever, like if you feel that you're at that point and stuff. But like some people need to rein it in.
But it's like the gatekeepers are kind of falling because it's like, I can just do this shit on, like, what are you, I work with this company, say I work with like fucking Comedy Central, and it's like, okay, so what are you going to do that I can't do? Oh, we'll put it out on our channels that have more viewers. Okay, true, but also like, we're both on TikTok. We're both on Instagram. Right. So like, you have these followers, but at the same time, my shit could pop on my own
at any time
and get more views than you would get. So like, it's a level playing field in a sense.
No, that's so true. That's so true. Cause like I always wanted to write for TV. And so the reason like I did a special in 2020, in fact, I shot it literally 2 weeks before the pandemic came in. So it was just like, I just was sitting on an hour. In fact, I was really just shooting it to like get an hour on tape. And then pandemic hits. So I was like, let's put it out as a special.
Yeah. That's smart.
Branding and around it and stuff. But I was only 24. I was 4 years in. And I did it. But I did it because I wanted a writing job on TV. Because I figured, I was like, okay, if I put out me performing an hour of really good jokes, somebody would be like, hey, I'd let you write on my show. Like, why not? And like, it happened just like it took a longer time than I thought it would take. But I eventually got a writing job because somebody saw that shit. Yeah. And so it's just like, when you do put these things out, you kind of need to like, why are you putting it out? What's the plan?
Intention.
That kind of thing. Because like, if you want to tour eventually and shit like that, why just throw an hour of jokes on the internet and save that shit? You know what I'm saying? But like for me, like, I want to write for TV. Yeah. So I just threw it out there. And then now like I'm putting a second one out, but it was just because like I wanted to see if I could put one out better than the first one. Yeah. Because the first one was basically just like all the shit I had come up with through my first 4 years of comedy through mics and stuff. And it was just, and I wasn't really getting booked in LA at all. And so it was like literally like I think the week I did my special, I didn't even perform that week.
Oh my God! And you went up and did an hour?
Cold. I couldn't get it booked on a show. Yeah. I had a bunch of people. I was like, hey, I'm taping a special on Saturday. Could I come and do like 10 minutes just to kind of iron some shit out? Nobody hit me back. That's wild. And then I didn't want to go do a mic because it's just like I'm not gonna get the response.
The timing and response.
So I literally like just chilled at home, and then Saturday went and taped the hour special, and then that special changed my life though.
Oh my God.
I got a whole audience off of it. I wrote on a TV show now. Yeah. And so it was cool, and now you gain this audience, and like damn, I want to do another special because they want something else. So like, and then I was able to go on tour because of that.
And you have people who really, you go all over the country now. Yeah. People really do come to see you, which is fun. So special. It's fun.
It's really fun. I like meeting all these people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so like that's why I'm excited for this like new special to come out next month, because then like all the people that have kind of seen me on tour the last 2 years, they'll get to see like the finished product and everything. Yeah. And then like being on the internet, now I have like all these followers in places where like comedians don't come to them. So like the only time they'll see me do stand up is if I post a special. So I'm excited for that too, for them to see like a new thing. But
that's what
it's just I was just saying all that to say is just like when you do put something out, you just need to like what's the plan around it.
Yeah.
I think that's the new wave too. I think everyone is getting kind of burnt out on social media, whether they want to admit it or not. Not even like in a way where it's like, oh, I don't want to look at it, but like the trustworthiness is gone.
Yeah. Right.
But it's like we're so used to just shit getting shoved in our faces and it's not even like on TV. Oh, we see ads for this all the time. It's like on every platform I'm seeing ads for this. I'm seeing these movies that are being pushed that are terrible, but they're fucking everywhere. So I think it is coming back around to like that 90s DIY shit where it's like, okay, I see all these people, but I can tell this person actually cares and is putting in the work and is doing something different. Isn't just doing the, like, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, I'm coming around. I'm doing this show. Come. And people are like,
and you're your own quality control.
And your own, but then people are just like, oh, actually, this is kind of dope. And then they go and they can like sense that passion that's there. And then that is like, so that's, I mean, now I've probably talked to you about it, but now I'm like really trying to lean into telling people like, just tell your friends, because so much shit is shoved in your face.
That's my new promo for this new special is I'm telling everybody if they like it, put in your 2 favorite group chats.
For real. Because that's the thing. Everyone is smart. Like, oh, Netflix, every show they put out is the best show ever made, they say. And then you watch it and you're like, this is fucking ass. Shit. But then if your friend is like, hey, this show is actually pretty good, you're like, all right, I'll actually check it out. Yeah. So it's like, I think people are getting burnt out without even necessarily realizing it. So just seeing people take that extra step of quality, of passion, just subconsciously you're just like, all right, I rock with that even more.
That's why I've been very personalized, like with the branding for my stuff and everything, just to make it feel authentic.
Oh yeah,
like,
you do a great job with those posters and stuff too. I don't know who does them for you.
Yeah, that's my friend Kate. She's great. But yeah, I try to make it very just like personalized and authentic to me, so people feel like they're meeting me and getting to know me through the stuff.
Well, it's also that thing of like, oh, that's for sure a Niles joke. Yeah. And nobody else can do that joke. Yeah. You know? And
that's how I like to keep it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So that's just kind of the plan. Yeah. It's just like, and then the way it's kind of going and kind of doing it is like, it'll probably take the 3rd special to get to where I want to go.
Of course,
it's just like,
it's a long road for all of us.
Stick into it,
but then at the end too, you can look back and be like, all right, I'm actually proud of that shit.
Yeah.
Like
you did it your own way.
Yeah, I didn't do anything just to try to make that next jump. It's like, no, I did it because I want to do it.
You Issa Ray'd the shit out of comedy.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing right now. Like I really like what Issa Rae did with Insecure is like what you're doing with comedy.
No, Issa's dope.
Yeah, she's awesome. I know her personally.
Issa, come on out. Come on. She's just been sitting there reading.
Yeah. But speaking of that, I'm wondering, so now you've been doing comedy a while, you've done a special, another one coming out. What advice do you have? Maybe something in the realm of also producing and self-producing stuff, because you are basically the expert on that.
That was a really good segue.
Thanks so much.
Speaking of segues.
I wouldn't call myself an expert on it, because I'm learning as I go still. I would just tell people, just try it.
Yeah.
Like I threw 2 festivals, 2 weekend-long festivals this year, both sold out, both successful. But right before, I was definitely had feelings of like, why the fuck am I doing this?
Yeah.
But it was just like, they turned out great. And so it was like one thing me and my friend Johnny, we always say to each other is like, stop asking yourself, what if this shit don't work? Start asking yourself, what if it does?
Yeah.
Because if it does work out, this shit about to be dope.
Don't self-sabotage.
Yeah. Just ask yourself, what if this works out? Yeah. And then if it doesn't work out, now you have a lesson and you learn, all right, well, how can I get better from this? And so I would tell people, like, don't, like, run a festival yet. But But, like, I didn't run a festival till after I ran a successful show for a certain amount of months, and then I toured, and then I was like, okay, I could pack this into 3 nights.
Right.
I know how to do it. So it just takes repetition. And so I would tell any like young comic, like first run a mic, run your own mic, run your own mic for like a year or 2, then run a show.
Yeah.
After you've ran a mic for about a year, then run a show. And don't do it by yourself. Do it with some friends. And that's what I tell people like all the time is like, surround yourself with like-minded people, like that are doing well and then also work. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't surround yourself with other lazy people and shit. Yeah. It's like one of my friends, his dad used to tell us this shit all the time when I was younger, and I would just laugh at it, but then I didn't really realize how true it was. But he'd always say like, if you hang around with 9 broke niggas, you gonna be the 10th.
100%. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like it's the same thing with comedy, bro. Like we do this, and like you see a comedian's hanging out with a certain person, you just assume they're not funny.
Oh my God, the association.
You're the company that you keep.
Yeah.
So I make sure I'm only around funny people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't say yes to doing every podcast.
Yeah. I noticed you were standing very far away from me last
night. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's hilarious. I'm dead.
Or you were close, and then someone else come around, you'd step farther away, and then come back.
But yeah, it's just like be careful like who you associate with, and get a good group around you, and like do it together.
It's so much more fun when you're doing it with
exactly.
your friends.
And I think the best comedy is collaborative anyway.
Yeah.
100%.
Even though stand-up's solitary, I think there is a level of collaboration.
And a lot of us, our best jokes come from riffing with another comedian and conversation and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it is kind of an individual sport, but we all do kind of help each other in a way. And, you know, and just like I think, you know, it just it'll rise, you know, you rise together and everything. Yeah. And so that's the advice I would get. That's what's helped me is just having a good group around me that everybody is just about their shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Amazing. Well, tell the people where they can find you.
Follow me on Twitter if it's still around by the time.
It's bleak. It's so bleak.
I have a real blue check before people started paying.
Yeah,
there we go.
So follow me on there at Niles100, and then I'm on Instagram at the Niles Abston Show.
Amazing.
I hate TikTok, but I'm on there.
Yeah.
Niles Abston, I think is my name on there.
You're like, you know what? You have the internet. You'll find it.
Yeah. I have a podcast called Y'all Had to Be Here. We do live shows as well. So
fun.
Check us out on that. And I have a comedy special dropping on December 8th.
Amazing.
So be on the lookout for that. I'm excited about it.
Thank you so much, Niles.
Thank you.
It was a delight. And I think we're out.
Yeah. Well, where can people find you?
Oh, sorry. I'm just like, they know us. I'm like, I don't care. On everything at Arijana Ramic. Easy.
All right. And you can find me on all social media platforms at Grent Radish, GrentRadidish. And Moke Dog, you got anything you want to say?
Say for the pod, Mokey.
All right. You heard it here first. You heard it here first.
All right. Thank you for listening.
Till next time. See ya.